Welcome back to War Machines Chronicles. While the B-17 Flying Fortress often steals the spotlight, another Titan ruled the skies of World War II, a machine built in numbers that defy belief and with a reach that changed the course of the war. This is the story of the Consolidated B-24 Liberator, the most produced heavy bomber in history and a true workhorse of the Allied victory. It all started in 1938. The U.S. Army Air Corps needed a new heavy bomber, one that could fly farther, faster, and carry a bigger payload than the legendary B-17. Consolidated Aircraft answered the call with a revolutionary design. Its secret weapon was the high-efficiency Davis wing, long, thin, and engineered for incredible aerodynamic performance. This wing gave the B-24 its distinctive look and, more importantly, its phenomenal range. On December 29, 1939, the prototype took to the skies for the first time, and the era of the Liberator had begun. What happened next was an industrial miracle. The B-24 became the most produced American military aircraft of the war. Over 18,400 units rolled off assembly lines across the United States and Canada. The most famous production facility was Ford's Willow Run plant in Michigan, a marvel of mass production so efficient that, at its peak, it was completing one B-24 Liberator every single hour. This staggering output meant the Allies could deploy vast fleets of these bombers across every major theater of war, sustaining relentless campaigns against the Axis powers. In the skies over Europe, the B-24 was a key player in the strategic bombing campaign against Germany. Flying with the mighty 8th Air Force from bases in England and the 15th Air Force from Italy, Liberators pounded industrial targets, rail yards, and military installations across the continent. They faced intense anti-aircraft fire and swarms of enemy fighters on perilous missions deep into enemy territory. One of the most famous and dangerous of these was Operation Tidal Wave in 1943, a daring low-level raid on the vital oil refineries at Ploiești, Romania. The mission came at a staggering cost, but demonstrated the strategic importance and courage of the B-24 crews. But perhaps the Liberator's most decisive role was fought not over land, but over the vast, unforgiving waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Early in the war, German U-boats were devastating Allied shipping convoys, operating with impunity in a vast stretch of the mid-Atlantic that was beyond the range of land-based aircraft. This area became known as the Atlantic Gap. The B-24, with its incredible endurance, was the perfect weapon to close it. Modified for long-range maritime patrol, these very long-range Liberators, designated PB-4Y1 by the Navy, could loiter for hours, hunting U-boats on the surface. Equipped with radar and depth charges, they turned the tables on the German wolfpacks, making the Atlantic safe for the vital flow of supplies to Britain and Europe. The B-24 didn't just fight in the Battle of the Atlantic, it helped win it. Half a world away, the Liberator's long legs made it the ideal weapon for the immense distances of the Pacific theater. Operating from island bases wrested from the enemy, B-24s struck deep into Japanese-held territory. They bombed enemy airfields, naval bases, and supply lines from the Solomon Islands to the Philippines, and eventually to the shores of Japan itself. Its ability to carry a heavy bomb load over thousands of miles was something no other bomber could match at the time, making it an indispensable tool in the island-hopping campaign toward victory. The Liberator also made its mark in the deserts of North Africa and the Mediterranean. Flying from bases in Egypt and Libya, B-24s supported the Allied ground campaigns, disrupting General Rommel's supply lines and striking targets in Italy and the Balkans. From the frozen North Atlantic to the tropical Pacific and the scorching African desert, the B-24 proved its versatility and power on a truly global scale. So what made this aircraft so special? Let's look at the machine itself. The B-24 was a beast, with a wingspan of 33.5 meters and a length of over 20 meters. It was powered by 4 massive Pratt & Whitney R1830 twin-wasp radial engines, each producing 1,200 horsepower. This gave it a top speed of around 470 kilometers per hour, and crucially, a combat range of over 3,000 kilometers, significantly more than its contemporary, the B-17. It could climb to a service ceiling of about 8,500 meters, putting it above much of the lighter anti-aircraft fire. Its offensive power was immense. The Liberator could carry a bomb load of up to 4,000 kilograms in its twin bomb bays. For defense, it bristled with up to 10 heavy 50-caliber Browning machine guns located in nose, dorsal, tail, and side positions, as well as a retractable Sperry ball turret in the belly, providing a formidable field of fire against attacking fighters. Its advanced tricycle landing gear also made it easier to handle on the ground compared to the tail-dragger bombers that came before it. Of course, the B-24 was often compared to the B-17, and it's a fascinating matchup. The Liberator's advantages were clear. It was faster, had a longer range, and could carry a heavier bomb load. However, it also had its drawbacks. Pilots often found it more physically demanding to fly than the stable B-17. Its innovative Davis wing, while efficient, was less robust than the B-17's wing and was more susceptible to catastrophic failure if it took heavy damage. Crews often said that a B-17 would bring you home on a wing and a prayer, but the B-24 was less forgiving. Despite this, its superior performance meant it was the right tool for many of the war's most critical missions. The legacy of the B-24 Liberator is one of industrial might, strategic reach, and decisive impact. It was the bomber that closed the Atlantic Gap, the bomber that could reach distant targets in the Pacific, and the bomber that was produced on a scale the world had never seen. While the B-17 may be more famous for its toughness, the B-24 was the versatile, long-range powerhouse that took the fight to the enemy across 3 continents. It was a true beast of the skies, an essential pillar of Allied air power, and a machine that truly lived up to its name, the Liberator. Thanks for joining us on War Machines Chronicles. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's greatest aircraft, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. See you next time.